how long does it take to get your E-2 investor visa in the United States? That depends mainly on three things. 1, the current status of your company. 2, how complex your documentation is. And 3, what country where you will be filing your case. I'm immigration attorney Keilani Hux Villafranca. I have guided many clients through this process, and this is one of the most frequent questions that my clients ask me. So I thought it might help you as well to know the answer to this question. The E-2 investor visa allows you to live and work in the United States while you run the business that you started and invested in the United States. But you need to start with a really realistic picture of how long this process might take so that you can set yourself up for success. So let's go. If you're thinking about an investor visa, I'm sure that you are a careful, thoughtful individual and that you are thinking about how to have success in this application. Many of my clients, and I bet many of you, are underestimating quite how long the E-2 visa process will take because of a number of reasons. 1, you're not quite sure what it looks like to process an E-2 investor visa, and you don't know how long the whole thing takes, either with your attorney or with the government. But importantly, I've found that before those steps, my clients don't have a really good picture of what it means for a business to be ready for an E-2 investor visa. And so I help guide them through what that means, and that's what I'm going to talk you through here today. First, we need to understand what's the process of an E-2 visa. This is a question I get at every consultation I have. And so my answer is the same every time, which is we need to be aware of 3 wait periods in your E-2 visa process. The first is the period of time it will take for you to start and fund and activate your E-2 visa business. That's from the moment that you have the idea in your head to form a business in the United States until the moment when the business itself is eligible to apply for the visa. The second time period we have to keep in mind is how long it will take me or your attorney, if you choose someone else, to file your case. That varies by office and is absolutely a question that you should be asking the attorney you're thinking about hiring, and they should have a very clear answer for you. The third period of time we care about is the government wait time, because after you've prepared your business and your attorney's prepared your case, then the government gets to sit on it. And that is the most frustrating wait period of all. Now we're going to go into detail into each phase of the E-2 visa process so you can get an idea of the timeline associated with each for your particular case. Okay, step 1 in preparing your E-2 visa case is establishing your business and getting it ready to apply for the visa. What does that mean? How do you know when a business is ready? Well, to be eligible for an E-2 visa, you have to have formed your company in the US, and then you have to have invested money in that company. Investment does not mean putting money in a business bank account and letting it sit there. I have done many videos on E-2 visas and on this point in particular. So if you want to learn a whole lot more about what it means to invest in your company, go check those out. But for our purposes here today, just know you have to actually have spent the money on something. It has to be gone. You have to not be getting it back unless your business does well. Okay, so we know you formed your company, you've invested your money, and then you have to actually start your business or be ready to start your business. And the only thing missing is your visa. So you either have to already be actively selling your services or your product to the public in the United States, or you need to have everything ready and be able to show the government you can immediately start selling. You're just waiting on your visa so that you can come into the country and have the lawful status to be able to do so. Okay, how long does that take? That's going to be different for every single business. The good news is you are very, very in control of how long this takes, mostly, because you are the one driving the train, right? It's your business. You decide how quickly things move, what you invest in, when. Some of it is going to be out of your control, and I want you to pay attention to those things. Things like actually forming the entity with the government, getting your federal tax ID number for your business, opening your bank account. These are the things that I've seen my clients say, oh, wow, that took a lot longer than I expected it to. And forming the entity is usually pretty fast, but the government tax number can take a very long time. If you don't already have a social security number, the process can be a little bit tedious. And so I'd encourage you to start sooner rather than later and thinking about what that means for you and your company. So the first phase of an E-2 visa is getting your business ready. If your business is already up and running in the United States, This wait time has passed. You're already past this phase, and so you don't need to calculate this into how long an E-2 visa will take. But for many of the people I speak with, they are on the front end. They're just thinking about forming an E-2 company. They're just trying to decide if they want an E-2 visa, and they want to know how long it takes. So if that's you, you need to keep in mind that this first phase could be anywhere from a couple months to a year or two, truly, depending on how long it takes you to start and establish the business and get it to the point of being operational. The amount of time your case takes to prepare will be longer if your documents are very complex. In the context of an E-2 visa case, that means either the source of funds is very complicated, or the way in which you spent your investment is not well documented and takes a long time to pull together. When we're proving your source of funds, we could have something as simple as you sold a real estate property and the money from that property is used for your investment. That's pretty straightforward. We have a formal document showing the sale, the amount of money, and then we probably have just one transfer of money, either into your personal bank account or into a business bank account. That's not complex. That is a source of funds documentation that is very straightforward. However, you could, for example, invest $300,000 in your business. Some of it came from a gift from your mom, some came a gift from your brother. Some of it is from a real estate sale. A portion is also from your personal salary. Another is from an investment account that you've held for a long time. This is much more complicated. If your source of funds includes funds from multiple locations or funds that are hard to trace or hard to document, it's going to take longer to prepare your case because that is going to take longer for your attorney to put together as a credible source of funds that will be believable by the US government. I would really encourage you to keep very, very good business records the moment you start to invest in your US company. That's because you need to be able to show all those records to prove how you spent your investment in the company. I would encourage you not to pay for things in cash. It's much, much harder to prove your investment if it was made in cash. Spending with one credit card in your name or in the name of the business is the easiest, most simple way to prove your investment. If you spent from multiple credit cards, multiple different bank accounts before and after the business was formed, now it's more complex. It doesn't change your eligibility if you're still eligible for the visa, but it does mean your documentation is more complicated and it will take longer for your attorney to prepare. So if you want to be able to control how quickly your E-2 visa moves, I would encourage you to think about your source of funds. Make sure your documentation is available and clear and as simple as possible. And to think about how you're spending your money in the US business. Make sure it is all well documented, well organized, and as simple as possible. That is what you can do to speed up the process in the middle part. So after the business is ready and before the government gets it, that's the best thing that you can do to ensure that your case processing with your attorney's office will move as swiftly as possible because the documents you provide are organized, clear, and complete. So that's step one. Step one could be anywhere from one day if your business is already running and operational in the United States, or a couple years if you're just now contemplating what it might mean for you to have a US business. So that's something only you can know, but is a really important part of the process because you have to go through that before you can be eligible to file your visa. Okay, so let's say we've gotten through the first part. Your business is up and running or just about to start and you're just waiting on your visa and you hire an attorney. How long does that part of the process take? We typically file our cases in 3 to 4 weeks, but we say up to 6 just in case that we always know we can meet that expectation for you and our clients. You should be hiring an attorney who can answer this question very plainly for you. You want someone who will say, I will get your case filed in this amount of time. If they cannot tell you that, it's important to ask, why not? What is preventing you from giving me an estimate on how long it's going to take to file my case? Because you want to make sure that your case won't get put on a shelf somewhere and forgotten. These cases are complex, but that doesn't mean they have to take forever. With an organized, efficient process and system, we can get these cases out the door really quickly for you to make sure that we're not the reason that you are waiting on your E-2 visa. Okay, so step one is, how long does it take you to prepare your business? Could be a week if it's already up and running, could be a year or so if you're just now starting. How long does it take me to prepare your case? I take up to 6 weeks to prepare your application and present it to you for your review and approval to file it with the government. And now we're at step 3. How long does it take for the government to decide your case? This is the most frustrating part of the process for everyone because we don't know. Now, that's not completely true. I do know because I have a lot of experience with these cases, so I can tell you what it's typically like, but it's important to know for you, we will never know how long it takes until it took that long. We will not know how long it will take for the government to give you an interview until they've given you that interview. That's because the government has absolutely no limitations or restrictions on how long they can take to decide your case. They're not required to decide your case within a particular period of time. And they don't publish the wait times for these kinds of cases. For other kinds of visas, student visas, visitor visas, really any other kind of visa, you can go onto the Department of State's website and you can see the estimated processing time for your case in the place where you're going to file at any given time of the year, which is amazing. That doesn't happen for e-visas. They do not publish processing times. What that means is we have to take clues from what's happening currently in the location where you're going to file. When you file your E-2 visa case, it will be filed in the consulate or embassy in your home country. Each location has a different processing time. Even within the same country, there are different processing times. Most of my E-2 cases are filed in Mexico. In Mexico, we can file in La Ciudad de México or in Ciudad Juárez. Those are two different locations that accept E-2 processing, and they have their own system and their own wait times. For example, right now we're seeing that in Mexico City, E-2 visa cases are taking about 2 to 4 months. In Ciudad Juárez, that same case is being processed in 3 to 6 weeks. Those are really different wait times. And so that's a really important part of your understanding of how long your case will take, and an important part of your legal strategy is talking to your attorney about where you should file and why. If you have a couple different options of where to file, you want to think about what that means for you, both timeline-wise, monetarily, because different locations have different filing fees. And for example, if you're a Mexican citizen and a Canadian citizen, know that you could file as Mexican or Canadian. But ojo, if you file as a Mexican, your visa reciprocity fee, that means the fee to print your visa, is about $200. If you file as an Australian, it's about $4,000. This is a wildly disparate fee. So that needs to be taken into account when you're analyzing your case and how to file and what the best legal strategy is for your particular situation. Okay, so how do you know? If they don't publish wait times, how do you figure this out? This is where a good attorney is key. And when I say good attorney, what I mean is an immigration attorney who exclusively practices immigration and is very involved in E-2 visa cases. A large part of my work for my clients is keeping on top of my cases and the information that I can learn, and also speaking with my colleagues who also do E-2 cases and sharing information among us so that we all have very accurate, up-to-date information about processing times and processes in different consulates and embassies worldwide. So it really, really does matter to hire an immigration attorney who is experienced in E-2 visas, and even better if they have experience in the place where you're filing. I wouldn't overly worry about finding an attorney who has experience in the place where you're filing, because processing times can change really quickly. So just because somebody has experience where you're filing and they know, oh, in the last couple months, it's been 3 to 4 months, overnight that could change and take 9 months or 2 weeks. It's much more important to find an attorney who has experience with E-2 visas, because the law is the same in every location. Every single place you file an E-2 visa, your E-2 eligibility criteria are the same. But you do want someone who has experience and understands how to navigate these intricacies of different locations, different processes, and different wait times to help you set the legal strategy that makes the most sense for you, your family, your business, and your future in the United States. Okay, so typically, the government wait time for E-2 visas is about 3 months. That's just the best guess based on every location in the world, every case that's filed. That's kind of the most typical wait time, is about 3 months. That doesn't mean that that will be your experience. It really can be as fast as 2 weeks, as slow as 1.5 years. And so this is part of the plan that I need you to know really well to set yourself up for success. If you're going to start your E-2 process today, you need to know that you could be waiting 1 year, 1.5 years to get your visa. You probably won't, especially if you're filing in a location that has been traditionally moving more quickly. But we have a change in president happening today, actually. I'm recording this on January 20th, 2024. Today, President Trump takes office. That means changes in the immigration system. That probably will result in changes in the processing time for some E-2 visas in some locations, and we'll just watch and see which those are. But also at any given time, the processing times can change. So I want you to have a plan. Everybody has a plan for when things go well and quickly, but I want you to have a plan for what you're going to do if your case moves more slowly than you expect it to. That plan could involve hiring employees inside the US who can support your business while you're waiting outside for the visa. It could mean getting your infrastructure set up so that you can run your business remotely from outside the country while you wait for the visa. Or it could mean making a decision to not yet start the business, but get it ready to begin and at that place where you're just waiting on the visa to start. This is something you can talk to your attorney about and really understand the best legal strategy for you, but you need to have it. It needs to exist. Your plan B has to be there so that you can decide what are you going to do if your visa takes longer than you expect. Okay, I hope this was super helpful. This is truly one of the most frequent conversations I have with my clients as I meet them either when they're just starting to think about an E-2 visa or when their US business is up and running and they're ready to hit the ground and get their visa now. Those are both very, very valid positions to be in when you're starting to think about an E-2 visa, but they're really, really different in terms of timing. So I want you to really be honest with yourself and think about where you are right now. What's the status of your US business? How complex are your documents? And where are you going to file your case? So today, we've talked about processing times for E-2 visas. The most critical items that impact how long an E-2 process will take are 1, the current status of the business, 2, the complexity of the documents, and 3, where you will be filing your case. I want you to keep each of these in mind as you think about your case and where you are today and where you want to go. You absolutely can have success in your E-2 visa case, and having this knowledge and planning ahead will ensure that you can get there. I'm Keilani Hux Villafranca. If you want to talk to me about your particular case, I would love that. I really enjoy guiding my clients and helping you understand where are you now, where are you going, and what are the best options for your next steps. Give me a call at the information below, or you can go to our website and self-schedule your consultation with me. I would love to meet you soon. Bye-bye.